You were fully in. And then one day, without warning, without reason, you just weren't. And somewhere in that silence, you started wondering if something was wrong with you. Nothing dramatic happened. No fight, no breaking point. The interest just left clean, quiet, like it was never really yours to keep. You've probably done this recently. Opened something you were excited about last week, an app, a project, a conversation, and felt your chest go flat. Not sad, not angry, just empty air where something used to live. Lost interest in everything. Maybe you've even said it out loud, not dramatically, just as a fact, sitting in a room that used to feel like you, feeling like a stranger in your own life. Most children who grew up this way became adults who still don't know how to rest, and they never learned how to stay interested either, because staying meant wanting, and wanting, for them, never felt safe. Imagine caring so much about something on a Tuesday and waking up Thursday like it happened to someone else. And here's what almost nobody talks about. You didn't lose interest in the thing. Something in you just quietly decided before you even noticed that it was time to go. But what's interesting is, this doesn't just show up as lost interest. It shows up in your Tuesday, your inbox, your actual life. You make plans with real excitement. Book the thing, tell people. Then 3 days before, something in your chest deflates like air leaving a room. You show up anyway, you smile, but you're already somewhere else. You meet someone who feels easy to be around. You picture a future, small things, real things. Then within weeks, you're quietly building a list of reasons it won't work. Not out loud, just in the back of your head at 2 a.m. The tab you close and reopen. The message you type and delete. The apology you wrote at midnight and never sent. You stop replying to someone you actually like. Not because anything happened, just because one morning the energy to reach back simply wasn't there. You make a decision that took real courage. Feel proud for 4 days. Then the pride goes flat, and you're already doubting the whole thing. You sit down to work on something that used to excite you. Open the file, stare at it, close it, tell yourself you'll start tomorrow. And this one might be the hardest. Sometimes you lose interest in yourself, in the version of you that was starting to want things again. Research shows that people who grew up where what never came was emotional consistency are far more likely to walk away from things mid-investment, not from weakness, but from a nervous system that learned wanting leads to losing. And that is exactly why the part coming next, the reason this keeps happening even when your life is calm, even when it's safe, changes everything. And this is where it shifts. You've been thinking this is about interest, about passion, about being someone who just can't commit to anything long enough to see it through. It was never about interest. You never lost interest in the things you walked away from. You lost the feeling that it was safe to want them. Somewhere early, before you had words for any of it, wanting something too much started to feel dangerous. Not because anyone told you, because you reached, and what never came back was the reassurance that it would stay. So your mind built a system. Quiet, automatic, not to hurt you, to protect you. The moment things start feeling too real, too close, too possible, a part of you retreats first, before it gets taken. That's what this is. The silent surrender. Not giving up, not losing passion. Your nervous system running a script it wrote when you were small. Want less, lose less. Imagine a child reaching towards something they love, hand almost touching it. And then something inside quietly says no. Not because it disappeared, because wanting it felt like the most dangerous thing they could do. This is not who you are. This is what you learned. And the reason the silent surrender keeps running, even now, even when things are actually safe, that's what comes next. And this is where it stops being personal and starts being explainable. Dr. Vanetta Dotson, a psychologist who studies how the brain processes reward and emotion, found that people who grew up without consistent emotional safety show measurably lower activity in the brain's reward center, meaning the part of you designed to feel excitement about the future quietly stops trusting that the future is worth reaching for. Imagine a lamp on a dimmer switch. Nobody turned it off. It just got turned down, so slowly, so quietly, that by the time you noticed, the room had already been dark for years. That's the silent surrender working beyond protection. It stops guarding you from loss. It starts guarding you from hope. And what nobody ever stopped to tell you is that this was never your fault, and that changes something important about who you actually are. Here's what nobody ever stopped to tell you. The silent surrender wasn't a flaw. It was the most logical thing you could have built, given what you were working with. When what never came was consistency, when you reached for what mattered, and learned slowly that the things you loved most had a way of disappearing, you adapted, got ahead of the loss, left before you could be left, lost interest before interest could be taken from you. That wasn't giving up. A child doing the only math that made sense isn't weak. They're surviving. And if any of this has been sitting heavy, talking to someone you trust or someone who knows how to listen can make more difference than you might expect. Because here's what that younger version of you never got to hear. The problem was never that you cared too much. It's that you cared in a world that kept showing you caring was dangerous. You weren't broken. You were brilliant at getting through something you never should have faced alone. And the last thing, the part that finally gives all of this a different ending, that's what comes next. And here's what's true. You don't have to figure it all out. Tracing every exit back to where it started isn't a requirement for wanting something different now. The silent surrender kept you safe for a long time. That deserves respect, not shame. But you're older now, and some of the things it quietly talked you out of, you might have genuinely wanted them. Imagine standing at the edge of something that matters to you, the kind of thing you'd normally already be planning to leave. But this time, not running, not scanning, just your feet on the ground, your chest open, the whole thing feeling terrifyingly real. And you stay anyway, not naive, just new. Most people who grew up that way became adults who believed the leaving was their choice, but you were never walking away freely. You were just never shown that staying was an option. So here's the only question worth sitting with right now. What would you still want if wanting itself didn't feel like something dangerous?